crafters. Today we're making this funny little frog. It's actually a pouch that you can stuff your AirPods into, and then you can hang it off of your backpack. So with that, let's get crafting. Please subscribe to my channel. For this project, I used 2 different colors of yarn, one for the crown and one for the frog. I did find this yarn actually quite difficult to deal with just because it was so smooth and slippery, and the yarn itself, the threads that make up the single strand of yarn, come apart easily. So if you are a very beginner, you might want to try and use a different brand of yarn. Just make sure you find one that's weighted for using a 4mm crochet hook. So I use a 4mm crochet hook throughout this entire project. I pick 2 safety eyes. You'll need a tapestry needle as well as a pair of scissors. I also use a stitch marker later on in the video when I am sewing the body together. However, this is not really necessary. You can still do this project if you don't have one of these. Throughout this video, I have certain sections that are sped up, but you can adjust them back to regular speed using YouTube if you want to follow along carefully with every single step I do. We're going to start with the main body of the frog. You might need to chain more stitches than I do in order to cover your AirPods, depending on what brand and what size they are. Just make sure your chain will overlap your AirPods like this, and you should be good to go. Start by creating a slip knot, and then we're going to chain 30. So you want to pull a loop through 30 times all together. For the next row, we're going to single crochet 28 times. You want to go back in through that chain 28 that you made, pull a loop through, and then pull through 2. And that's how you single crochet, and do that all the way down your chain. So once again, insert your crochet hook, pull a loop through, and pull through 2 to single crochet. You should end up doing this a total of 28 times. Now that we've reached the end of this row, we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to turn our work. For row 3, we're going to single crochet 28 more times. So make sure you insert your crochet hook right at that chain 2, and then pull a loop through and pull through 2. Now that we're at the end of the row, we're going to chain 2 and turn our work. Now you need to repeat row 3 20 more times in order to create the whole part of your head. To finish off, when you get to the end, you pull one more loop through, then you can cut your yarn and give a tug on your crochet hook. So once you've reached this point, you should have enough fabric created that if you place your AirPod in, then you can cover it completely. Now we're going to add the lip to our frog face, so start by creating a slip knot, and then you're going to slip stitch into the top corner of our head. To slip stitch, you want to insert your crochet hook, then pull a loop through and pull it all the way through again. Next, you're going to single crochet 21 times all the way down. So once again, to single crochet, insert your crochet hook, pull a loop through, and pull through 2. Do this a total of 21 times. Now that we're at the end, we're going to chain 2 and turn our work. For the next row, we're going to single crochet 21 more times all the way back down. And once we've reached the end of this row, we can chain 2 and turn our work again. And finally, for the last row of the lip, we're going to single crochet 21 more times. However, we're only going to insert our crochet hook into the front loop. So your stitches you created have a front and a back loop. You want to insert into the front loop, which is the one that's closest to you. When you get to the end of this row and you finish off, make sure you leave a fairly long tail because we're going to use it to sew down the lip. Now we're going to sew down the lip. So I fold it back on itself. It'll definitely fold kind of in a natural way since we went into the front loop of our stitch. And we're going to take that long tail, like I said, you want to keep, and you're going to use it to weave it back and forth through the lip before you weave that end in. After you finish with the lip, then you need to weave in all your ends that are on this frog head piece here. So take your tapestry needle and your yarn and go back and forth about 3 times to make sure those ends stay in. Here's what you should end up with. Now we're going to create the frog arms. So start by making a slip knot. Then you want to chain 16, so pull a loop through 16 times. Once you've chained 16, then you're going to single crochet 14 times back down your chain. So insert your crochet hook into chain 14 and single crochet all the way down a total of 14 times. Now we're going to chain 5 and slip stitch into the same stitch that we finished our last single crochet into. So insert your crochet hook, pull a loop through, and pull through again. And then you're going to repeat that 2 more times. So you chain 5 and then slip stitch back into that exact same stitch. The next part can be a little bit tricky. You have to insert your crochet hook into the bottom and top stitches of your single crochet, and then you slip stitch by pulling a loop through and through again. After that, you're going to chain one and then finish off. So pull a loop through, and then you can cut a nice long tail. You want to make sure it's nice and long because we're going to use this to sew it onto the body. Then give a tug on your crochet hook. Now we want to keep that nice long end that we just created, so only weave in the other end, that little short one that would have been from your starter chain. After that, we're going to weave that really long tail that we have that's at the bottom of our foot all the way through to the top of our legs so we can attach it to the body. And you're going to want to repeat this whole process 3 more times for the other 3 legs. Now we're going to attach the arms. So you can see when I put the AirPod in and I fold over my head that the arms, they end up in the top and the bottom corners. So to do this, you need to count 7 stitches from the top and from the bottom, and then that's where you want to attach your legs. Now if your head is a little bit longer because you have different sized AirPods, you're going to need to accommodate for this and fold over your piece and kind of see where the corners are going to be. After you've counted 7, make sure you only attach the legs using the inside stitches, so don't use the outside, and when you fold it over, make sure your lip is to the outside of your frog head. Make sure you weave that tail in that you used to attach the frog leg. Go back and forth about 3 times to make sure it stays in. And then you're going to want to repeat this process 3 more times to attach the rest of the legs. Now our little frog is really starting to come together since we have the legs, and what we have to do is create the eyes and crown. To start our eyes, we're going to create a magic circle, so lay your yarn over the inside of your hand. Make sure it doesn't go past your pinky. Hold it down with your thumb, then you're going to wrap it around, cross it over, so you should have a cross on one side and not on the other side. Make sure you hold that cross down with your thumb as you wrap your yarn around. After that, you can take your crochet hook and insert it underneath the yarn on the top of your hand, pull one piece through, and then go through the top corner there and pull through again. And pinch so you can carefully slide your fingers out. Next, you're going to chain 3, so pull a loop through 3 times, and we're going to double crochet into our magic circle. Just make sure you crochet over top of that tail that you pull to close the circle smaller. So yarn over, pull a loop through, pull through 2, and then pull through 2 more, and that's how you double crochet. Once again, yarn over, pull a loop through, pull through 2 and pull through 2 again. You want to do this a total of 10 times into your circle. You can pull on your yarn to close your circle, and then we're going to slip stitch to close the circle. Then you're going to chain 3, and we're going to double crochet 2 times into a single stitch, and we're going to do this a total of 5 times. So that would be 10 double crochets all together. Make sure you do 2 per stitch 5 times. When you finish off after this, make sure you leave a nice long tail because we're going to use it to sew our eye onto the head of our frog. Now weave your end in only the shorter one that we have from our inner part of our magic circle, and keep that nice long one that we created so we can use it to sew onto our frog head. Now you can add a safety eye. I push it right through the center of where we had our magic circle. And then you need to repeat this whole process one more time for eye number 2. Now we're going to create the frog crown. To do this, you want to make another magic circle. Then you're going to chain 3. And double crochet 10 times into your circle. Make sure you cover that tail that you pull to make the circle go smaller. Slip stitch to close the circle. For the second round of our frog crown, we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to single crochet 10 times around, but we're going to only use the back loop. Once you've made it all the way around, then you can slip stitch. For the last round of our frog crown, we're going to start by chaining 2, single crochet 1 time, then you're going to double crochet 1 time, chain 2, and then we're going to insert our crochet hook back through our 2 loops of our double crochet and do 1 single crochet. And we're going to repeat this process all the way around our crown. Single crochet again, this time into the next stitch over, and double crochet 1 more time. Then you can chain 2. Once again, you're going to single crochet back through those 2 loops of your double crochet, and then you can single crochet into the next stitch over. double crochet, chain 2, and then you single crochet one time, going back through those double crochet loops, single crochet into the next stitch, followed by a double crochet, chain 2, and then single crochet, going back through those double crochet loops once again, single crochet into the next stitch, double crochet, chain 2, and single crochet back through your double crochet loops, single crochet into the next stitch, and then you can close this round by slip stitching. To finish off, pull one more loop through, and then you can cut your tail, give a tug on your crochet hook, and weave both of those ends in. Next, we're going to create the chain of the crown. You're going to start by slip knotting, and then you're going to chain 52 times. Now, if you want a longer chain than I create, you can chain a few more times than that. Then you're going to single crochet 50 times all the way back down your chain, so you insert your hook into stitch number 50 and go all the way down. Then you're going to finish off this chain by pulling one more loop through and leaving a nice long tail, because we're going to use this to attach to the crown as well as the frog's head. Now we can sew the eyes onto our frog head. I fold my frog in half just so I can get an idea of where I'm going to place my eyes. I want them to go right next to where the upper arms are. So I'm going to take that tail and I'm going to start by weaving right above the top arm there, and then I'm just going to go back and forth through the arm for the next one, and I just weave back and forth all the way around the eye till it's attached, and then I can weave my end in when I'm all done. And you want to repeat this process for the eye number 2. Next, we're going to attach the crown. I'm going to start by taking both tails from the crown chain that we created, and I'm going to weave them through the other side of the chain. And after I've closed my chain together and I've weaved it through the chain back and forth a couple of times so the ends are closed, then I'm going to go through the center of my crown with those tail ends. After I've gone through the center of the crown, I'm actually going to take just the end that's shorter and I'm going to weave that one in so that I can use the long tail end I have to attach it to the top of the frog head. I'm going to attach the crown right dead center between the eyes of my frog head, and all I do is go back and forth with my long tail into the inside of my frog and back through the center of my crown all the way around the crown. Once the crown is nice and secure, then I can weave that last tail end in back and forth just to make sure it stays in place. Now to sew the body together, this is where I take my stitch markers and I just pin the mouth together where it overlaps. It just helps me keep it in place, but once again, it's not the end of the world if you don't have these stitch markers to do that. Just be careful when you fold your frog mouth in half that you keep it in the same place. So I'm just going to weave back and forth starting at the top corner by the frog eye, and I go back and forth all the way down through each stitch, and then I come all the way back up to the eye before I weave those ends in. And then you want to repeat this whole process for side number 2. After that, I'm going to sew the mouth partially shut. So I turn my AirPods sideways and I make sure that I only go to about where my AirPod edge hits. And I do this on each side. So just take some of your yarn and weave it back and forth through the lip and the bottom of the mouth in order to sew part of the mouth shut. And once you're all done that, then you can weave in all those remaining ends. And there you have it, your super funky frog AirPod case. Well, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed creating this little frog pouch for your AirPods. And if you did, please subscribe for more videos just like this one.